This is the J.R. Hendrick Texan Consort podcast that is done in narrated format. Hang tight and enjoy. Okay. Welcome to another nickname for this episode, which is the Swainfield Barbecue, where we buy golden rings. I'm Jimmy, and I'm JR, and tonight we're drinking Sprite Zero because both Jimmy and I are on the first phase of Atkins. That's right, this episode is called Peace Party at Swainfield. Okay, and so it's released, the time period was around the time of September 1st, and Jeff called it was the number one song, Michael Jackson, You Are Not Alone. Don't sing that, it reminds me of Charlie Nation. Fine. And Jeff Carson's Not on Your Love, Not on This Life, Would I Ever Leave You From Being My Wife. And I think that was a sequel to Lonesome Dove. Anyway, here is the trailer for Peace Party at Swainfield. It's been so long. Mom, glad to see you back. How do you think JR's doing? Oh, I guess he's alright. He's a big boy. Oh, Mama. How worry you about JR? I feel like sometimes Uncle Jim treats him so hard. JR, where is it? Oh, it's Daddy. He's just calling to apologize. Man, JR, you sure you want to go take a trip to back home to the ranch for the weekend? Hey, listen to me. Parrish wants to spend some time in quiet with Helen. Alright? You dig? I guess he... Okay, so there we go. We now go to August the 27th. It's Midland International Airport. 1 p.m. Betsy and Grandma Elizabeth arrive, a private jet. Kyle, Madison, and Christine meet them at the airport. And Kyle's like running towards the plane, Mama! And so Elizabeth takes him in her arm and says, Oh, Kyle, it's been way too long. And she's holding on to him. And Madison says, Welcome back, Miss Betsy. And Kyle's like, Betty going back to D.C. tonight? And she says, yes, he has some SBA work to do before going back to Richmond on Thursday. And so Kyle says, okay, let's get you and Grandma home. So the scene goes now, it's 3 p.m. Central. JR is standing outside of Gordon Hall after having had a morning of church and lunch at the Holy Spirit Club when his phone rings. And, well, you can guess it, it's Charlie. And Charlie's like egging it on. Man, Cambridge is beautiful this time of year. I went swimming with this cutie. How Jennifer says no, I may end up marrying her. And JR's like loses, like, you stupid idiot, I had high hopes for Jennifer. But there's only one for me right now. And that one is Karen Crowther. And Charlie's like, Karen, come on. I was only teasing. Charlie, remember, last spring, you weren't. So, well, And Gerald, you can't stop me on this one. I have to give you the bell. Yeah. Go get schooled, Charlie. Don't treat your buddy like that. So, Gerald's like, hey, everything about you lives dangerously. Charlie, it's all with you. I like you a lot, but it's my senior year and I've got to settle down. So it's 5 p.m. and Betsy is in the kitchen making chili dogs. Christine is at the table drinking tea and talking to Kyle and Madison. And Christine's like, oh, Kyle, congratulations on your helping Peter Seaton win the rodeos. I mean, you're a rodeo management guru. And Madison, she's not happy. She's like peeved. She's like, well, I'm getting tired of ranching. And Christine's like, well, the best thing you can do is be proud of your husband. Let's face it, I help you watch George and Andrew with a little help from the governess. On top of school, I do what I can for you guys. And Kyle, he's awesome. And Chrissy's got her blinders on. And Kyle says, we have a rodeo in Austin next weekend. I'm leaving Friday morning. I'll be back Monday night. So just then, kitchen phone ring, and it's JR. He's like, Mama, how was your trip with Daddy? And she says, it was nice. I mean, we rode the yacht. Daddy spoke at rallies. He was amazing. And JR says, then how come he was so mad at me? And Betsy says, JR, this time it was not your fault. I told him that. So at 7 p.m. Central, Brent and his mother, Margie, are having dinner at her apartment. And they're having free cheese pizza. He's like, Mom, that cheese pizza is to die for. And she's like, well, Brent, the door is always open. You can move out of the dorms if you want to. And he's like, no, Mama, you don't mind. I'd like to sit closer to JR. With his connections, it'd be good when I move to Albuquerque after graduation. And she's like, I really wish you could reconsider. With our connections, you can have a public affairs firm right here in Texas. And Gerald's like, look, I'm a columnist. I'm a commentator, not a businessman. And she's like, well, think about it. You're the editor of the Daily Raider. There's bound to be some business articles involved with politics related to business. At the same time, okay, Daryl, at the same time, I'm at the Holy Spirit Club going through Sunday evening devotional. The topic was about charity. But deep down in my heart, I was missing Karen. So at 7:45 p.m., dinner that night was Chinese, and so JR gets himself some spring rolls and egg rolls, along with some lo mein noodles and chicken fried rice, and sits down with Connie. Just then his phone rings, and of course it's Jim. And he's like, hello, Daddy. And Jim's outside of with another private jet by one of his consultants, John Sistina. He says, very sorry I went nuts on you this past week. I know I got a lot of pressure, a lot of heat going on, but I'm proud of you Just don't go to the DFW to be with Charlie for any reason. And so, they give each other an I love you, and they hang up the phone, and JR turns to Connie. And she's like, oh, what is it? And JR's like, no, that's Daddy. He called to apologize. He knows I went through a lot with Jennifer and Charlie, and he wants me saved. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. Connie and JR are sitting at the Texas Tech fountain at Sneed Hall entrance when the University Police van comes to pick up Connie. Now, something people don't know. Back in the 1990s, and probably beforehand, the vans that pick people up used to be from the University Police. Now, I believe City Bus has a contract with the university. Yeah, I believe the police stopped transport in early 2000, if I remember correctly. And so JR's like, okay, take care of yourself now, darling, you hear? And she's like, I'll see you in class in the morning. So it's 2 a.m. Eastern. Jim wakes up in the mansion front lounge. He's wanting something to drink, but instead he gets Ginger, the graveyard servant, to make him some coffee. So it's 4 a.m. Central. Kyle is out with some of the ranch hands and milking the cows, getting ready for some of the goats to be taken for an auction in Dallas. Now it's 8 a.m. Central, and Tech Business Room 005B. JR sits in the classmate with 15 other classroom and 15 other classmates. Suddenly, the teacher, a woman that he would have recognized, walks in. And she says, welcome to Public Policy Theory and Studies. I'm Dr. Misty Elliott, Professor of Economics and Public Policy here at Texas Tech and Lubbock University College. Today we're going to go over the syllabus. The textbook is by Gerhard Warner, H.L. Macon, and Greg Palmer. Get ready to be reading, because Wednesday we're talking about economic fiscal responsibility in the area of public policy studies. Now it's 9 a.m. and JR is reluctantly pulled into the Texas Tech Library to talk to Andrew Shelford. And Andrew's like, look, I know you're traveling alone this weekend for Labor Day. So since my parents are going somewhere else, can I come with you to the ranch? You know, Andrew Shelford. And JR's like, oh, come on now. Paris wants to spend time alone with his Helen of Troy. And JR says it. And Andy says, you mean to tell me that I go away for a year to Virginia and you're back to dating Karen Kreider again? And JR's like, yes, I am, okay? Fine. Look, I thought I better get in there and do some studying. There's Mike Fields I need to talk to. Now, meanwhile, Betsy is on a push tractor, helping round up the goats, and her cell phone rings, and it's Elizabeth Marie. And she's like, Betsy's like, man, Elizabeth Marie, DC, you had me woefully out of shape. And Elizabeth Marie says, I miss you, Aunt Betsy. And she says, honey, I want to talk to you about Frank. Honey, sometimes love isn't enough. Look, stay in school, darling. stay in school, darling. Gerald didn't. Yeah, my granddad say the same thing to Mama. And she's like, and Betsy, I promised to stay to school. But I needed somebody. And for a while, Frank was that somebody. It just didn't work out between us. Because he can't help being who he is. And I can't help being who I am. Okay, that conversation is awkward. 11 a.m. Political communications class. Smith Hall. Room 105. Jared seated among 20 classmates when a young woman walks in. And she's like, "Hi, and welcome to Political Communications. I'm Christine Ray. I got my bachelor's in Public Affairs here at Texas Tech University. A master's degree at Eastern New Mexico University. I did some advocacy work, study, and work in Portales. And I come well recommended. Required textbook is Investigative Process in Political Communication. It's written by Dr. Harmon. One thing to note. Some of your public affairs labs is scheduled. However, this one is not. I want you to do some real world research assignments. Beginning Wednesday, we will talk about media relations. And on Friday, I will be joining Dr. Harmon for a conference in Anaheim. So no class on Friday. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Central. Now, Diane has been driving since about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. She's having lunch in Abilene with Amy Kathleen. And Diane's like, "I'm worried about you." And she's like, "How are you doing?" And Amy Kathleen says, "Perfect. Greg picked out the wedding date. It's going to be June the 8th. But Diane's being very perceptive as a mother, but something else is wrong. Amy, what is it? And she's like, "Well, I worried about JR. He gets a lot of flack from Uncle Jim, and nobody defends him." And Diane, she has a wisdom. She takes a drink and she smiles. JR, we should take a drink. Whenever somebody takes a drink, we take a drink. "Why not? It's low carb." And she says, "No, honey. JR can take up for himself. And besides that, he has his mother and the whole team on his mother's side of the family to look after him." Okay, so it's 2 p.m. JR is meeting with Mike Fields. And Mike says, "Take Andy Shelford with you to the ranch this weekend." And JR's like, "But he was awfully annoying, trying to get me to go into the main Texas Tech library just to talk." And Amy's like, "Maybe he just wants to meet with your family. I mean, I know your cousin Joe is not going to be there. He's in law school here at Texas Tech. But Christine and maybe Kyle and Betsy, you need to think about that." So it's 4 p.m. Central. Midway preps. Christine walks out of the building and joins Jennifer and her mother's car. Can go to meet somewhere privately. I bet it's in Jennifer's house, and it's going to be revealed in the future, isn't it, JR? Sure is. 7 p.m. The family is getting together for after dinner drinks, and JR calls with everyone talking to him on speakerphone. And JR's like, "Poor Elizabeth Marie. Law student Frank was such a user." Now, Christine, she's upstairs. She's oblivious to all this. She picks up the phone, and her phone rings, and it's Amy Kathleen. And she's like, Amy, I'm sorry, but Mom chewed me out for being that way today. Can we be friends? Is that okay? And there's a long pause, and then Amy Kathleen says, well, sure, of course. Now, at the same time, Connie is studying at the Smith Hall Library when she gets a call, and it's her cousin Frank. The same Frank who'd been with Elizabeth Marie. And Connie says, congratulations for entering your final year of law school. And Milton, the night librarian, brings Connie a bottle of sparkling grape juice. And Frank is getting all big. Well, at least I'm doing what I think is noble. And Connie, she was like, you're not doing what is proper. And she's like, let me guess, Frank. Pride goes before a fall. And I know that there is another girl in your dorm room with you. A rich girl, right? You've got to stop being a user. You know what? I'm sorry. But JR was right about you. And you know what? He can make a better boyfriend than you. Kathleen, she's smitten with Frank. August 29th, it's 9:30 a.m. JR is in Smith Hall Lecture Hall 104, 30 classmates. JR sits down in the front when a familiar person walks into the front of the classroom. And of course, it's Friedrich McKay. Welcome to political contention and rhetoric. I'm Friedrich McKay. Doubtless, you've seen me in your government and public affairs courses. But I am your commander in this course. This is an advanced public speaking course, unlike the usual advanced public speaking course taught at the university. This class is a 2-hour lecture and a 3-hour lab. Each of you will get a political assignment. G.R. Hendrick, you were lucky. The Reverend Isaiah Friedman has declared his candidacy against Congressman Bill Hume. For the first part of this semester, you'll be writing speeches for him. But by October, you'll be working under Dr. Kinghorn at the Center for Public Affairs, write speeches for political candidates. That fit your persuasion. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. Central. Smith Lecture Hall 101. JR sits there with 300 classmates when Dr. Randy Wild walks in. And the professor says, welcome to Mass Communications Law. I'm Dr. Randy Wild, Professor of Government and Public Affairs and Graduate Coordinator for the Center for Public Affairs. Here you have the syllabus. We will go through it briefly. Also, I need these information sheets filled out, please. JR. Kevin filled out the information sheet. And then we made agreement for me to go get some groceries with him later on. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Jim is swimming around in the mansion pool with journalist Kathleen Blair. That time she is separated from her husband, and they would not reconcile until early April of 1996. 3 p.m. Central. At the ranch, Elizabeth is sitting on the patio when Betsy comes in from rounding up the goats. And she's like, Elizabeth's like, sitting over from a wheelchair. Betsy, honey, how is JR? And Elizabeth's like, he's fine. You see him this weekend. And she said, you sure he's taking to college well? And Elizabeth said, Mama, he's fine, I promise. Kyle is leaving for Austin Friday. I don't want anything to go wrong this weekend. And Betsy says, it won't, Mama, I promise. Now, 5 p.m. For curiosity, Jim is watching Brittany Williams on the Society page. The custody battle of Greg and Norma Sanders was just beginning. Norma had to testify yesterday. Even though the defense would get their chance on October 20th, Greg Sanders would not be testifying until November 7th. Norma would be returning tomorrow. 5:30 p.m. Central. Okay, check this. It's Smith Hall, Lecture Hall 112, the big huge one. He's sitting there with Brent Clark and Stoney Rosen. And the classroom is full of students talking until the professor walks in with a white coat. Good evening. Welcome to Introduction to Political Analysis. I'm Dr. Bruce Kinghorn, Professor of Political Science and Public Affairs. I received my bachelor's degree at Brigham Young University, my master's degree at Texas Tech, and my PhD at Brigham Young University. The required textbook is called Political Science, written by Dr. Billy Crystal and myself. Dr. Crystal is a professor of political science at Brigham Young University. Please read the first final chapter, because Thursday we will be rediscovering measurement in political science and elementary research methods. 7 p.m. JR is back in his room studying his political science textbook and taking notes. 9 p.m. Central. Betsy helps put little Thomas to bed as Madison puts her other two to bed. And Kyle's watching TV in the den with Christine. Grandma Elizabeth is upstairs watching country music videos. 3 a.m. Central. Grandma Elizabeth wakes up with stomach cramps and crying for JR. So Brittany gives her a sedative to go back to bed. 5 a.m. Kyle is up milking the cows and getting ready to take some cattle to an auction in Junction. At least one of the top range hands will be in charge of taking the cattle. Now it's 6 a.m. Cinnamon rolls are for breakfast at the Holy Spirit Club. That's something you and I are going to be missing for a while, JR. For sure. JR, I just sat down by Connie when the cell phone rings. It's Christine. And Christine's like, look, I'm sorry about being such an idiot, JR. And me, Kathleen, and I have become friends now. And JR is like, oh, Christine, I want nothing but peace from this family when I come down this weekend. And CB taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, you're tough. You see to it, buddy. And Claude, surprise, surprise, Claude walks in. He says, JR, your dad told me where to find you. The Lubbock deal is selling like hotcakes. But we need a company in the farm to farm it and grow it. Would you do it? And JR's like, yeah, we can change. We changed the name of Nicodemus Foods to Hendrick Foods, and we can call it J.R. Hendrick Industries. See, JR described it for us. I was happy. Claude was successful. He was worried Sarge wouldn't be, and, well, you know me, honest family. Successful people are happy when they're successful. Otherwise, they're losers, right, JR? That's right, they're losers. 6:30 a.m. Central. Brent and his mother are having breakfast at the Crockett House dining hall. And Marge's like, look, I'm worried about you, Brent. You becoming an opinion journalist makes me wonder whether you're going to turn into your father, become like your dad. And he's like, Mom, stop worrying. I don't have any problems. I mean, the Hendrick family, they have plenty of complications. JR says his sister is prone to migraines. And Margie is like frustrated. She bangs the fork down. For real? Let's not do this now. Look, Brent. You're the head editor of the Daily Raider. I have a wonderful business piece. Can you write something about it? Something every once in a while. And Brent's like, well, sure. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. JR is outside Smith Hall waiting for Connie. And she walks up and she says, well, any word from Karen? And JR's like, oh, yeah, I see her Sunday morning, church. And she says, now, JR, you know, she's 140 miles away, and you're not going to be able to see her every weekend. You know, I hear from you because I care. Obviously, she had a crush on you. Yeah, I couldn't think about it. So here's the best part here. Amy, Kathleen, and Greg go to a jeweler in Ireland to get Amy's ring resized. Golden ring. Greg paid up with his platinum card, and Amy is in disbelief. She's like, oh. She's probably thinking, but I have one of those. $2:30 p.m. Central. Betsy is on her tractor. 3 p.m. Central. JR. I just returned back to my dorm room after Cheesecake Toastmasters and writing the first 3 pages on my first research paper for political communications on the candidate image of Reverend Isaiah Friedman. So far, the image of him in the 9th Congressional District is not that good. Suddenly, my dorm phone ring. It's Mama. And Betsy's like, JR, how are you? He's like, I can't wait to see you. Say, Andy Shelford and I are going to be leaving at 11 in the morning. So that means we'll be back at the ranch at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. And so Betsy says, have Lucinda call me when you get on the road. Okay, so it's 5 p.m. Central. Christine is asleep after a tough migraine. Poor Christine. Sadly, I think this may be a sign of things to come. Hold on. September 1st, 9 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Betsy is returning from a morning of rounding up some Angus cattle. At 5:30 in the morning, Kyle had left for a rodeo in Austin, and he took Madison, George, and Andrew. 9 a.m. Eastern, Jim gets on the private jet Hawker owned by Philip Magna. So it's 9:25 a.m. The plane departs Reagan International Airport, bound for Richmond International Airport. 11 a.m. Betsy is cooking lunch in the kitchen. The ranch phone rings and it's JR. And he says, using Lucinda's phone, Mama, I'm coming home. And she says, you guys be careful and stay safe. Mama and Grandma will be up outside the ranch waiting. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. and JR's Hummer pulls up to the drive. Grandma Elizabeth wheels out to greet her grandson. He opens the door and hugs. He's like, oh, JR, it is so good to see you again. And she motions to, she points to Andy Shelford, like, no, Andy. Fabian will get your bags. Your room's across the hall from JR. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. and JR. And as I poured my grandma, her brandy wine, and we sat down and talked. And Elizabeth goes, well, how's school, JR? And JR's like, fantastic. Thank you. I like my professors. And she said, honey, you go out there and you make your mama proud. This is the school year for you to shine. And not Brown knows it with that Charlie Nation. And Jared says he still calls me from time to time. And Elizabeth said, I really wish he wouldn't. Your granddaddy would horsewhip a man like that. And Joe's like, Grandma, because the school got him caught smoking weed, and because he was acting the fool making C's in his last semester, his daddy put him to work. He's working his tail off. And I'll buy that, Junior, when hell freezes over. Just then, the ranch phone rings and it's John Bob Horton. Hey, Gerald, listen. I need you to come hang out with me and Brad tomorrow. We want to discuss the next NFB meeting. And Gerald's like, if this is another letdown, Jim Bob, you can forget it. And I know Brad feels the same way. No letdown. You should come back next weekend. Oh, Jim Bob. Buddy, I'm sorry. You get the bell. Yeah, time for you to get schooled, buddy. Time for you to get schooled. And Gerald's like, no, I don't think so. Have a couple of tests on Friday to 15th, so no. So it's 3:50 p.m. Central. Brent and his mother are talking to a journalist professor named Ray Redding. They're meeting in the office of the editor of the Daily Raider. And Dr. Redding says, the values of the newspaper don't seem to need a business section. Unless they say we cover it with some politics, Dr. Redding said. And Brent's like, come on, Dr. Redding. I remember being in your Principles of Journalism class in the spring of '94. Don't give me that lecture about how things are run around here. And he says, but you've forgotten about the ethics regarding the people's right to know, Mr. Clark, Dr. Redding said. And so Marty's like, well, excuse me, but if I remember correctly, the campus newspaper is student-ran with a faculty advisor overseeing things. I may not necessarily like my son being a journalist, but he has a point, Marty Clark said. And so Dr. Reddick said, okay, touche, Mrs. Clark. The business section begins in October. Woo! Interesting, huh? Now, the last part. It's September the 3rd, 9:30 a.m. Central. Church with Karen. Well, church with Karen was excited. That's the Temple Baptist Church. The preacher had a wonderful sermon title called How to Succeed in Your Life. So it's 12 p.m. and JR and Karen have catfish and shrimp for lunch at JoJo's Grill. And JR's like, I'm hitting the books, Karen. I promise. And I try hard not to talk to Charlie that much. And she's like, well, you better not. You know, I was floored earlier this year when Brad told me that you nearly overdosed. So Karen's like floored, and Joe's like, to say it was waste, there's no excuse. As long as he's holding on to Jennifer Bowers, I want as little to do with him as possible. So now it's 3 p.m. and JR is in the kitchen talking to Christine and Andy Shelford, and Betsy's making chili dogs and chili burgers for everybody when the ranch phone rings, and it's Charlie. Can you please tell me why I didn't listen all along? Charlie said. And Gerald's like, Charlie, too much of that grass has fried your brain. He says, I know she showed you the damn papers. Hey, wait. Don't jump on me. This is hard for me too. Can't be tough on me anymore. I moved on beyond Jennifer. Way beyond Jennifer. You should have too. Man, I'm sorry for all the hell I caused you. Calm down and buckle up. We put the worst of this crap behind us. Okay, so 7 p.m. Dinner at the ranch that night was chicken fried steak, garlic mashed potatoes with an option of gravy, asparagus, pecan pie, and sweet pea. And so, Andy Shelford talking. He's like, yeah, Gerald's cousin Joe, he's doing well. Starting law school. Moved into a condominium a couple of weeks ago. He says he's doing well, Andrew Shelford said. And Grandma Elizabeth says, well, how are you, Andy? And he says, oh, I'm excellent. I just returned from Patrick Henry College, and I'm finishing up my graduate studies and in communication studies at Texas Tech. I stay at the Demosthenes Society. And JR, he spoke up, he says, after eating some mashed potatoes, it's a society for public affairs and a public address for graduate students. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. Everybody's going to sleep. Betsy puts little Thomas to bed, and JR and Andy sit down for another hour in the living room to talk about the next week. Okay, 1 a.m. Eastern. Jim wakes up in the Underwood Mansion, receiving several messages. 2 a.m. Eastern. Jim goes out and sits on the back porch of the Underwood Mansion in Fairfield, Virginia. He's drinking his coffee and smoking a cigarette, longing for Betsy. The thing is, he's not going to get Betsy for a while. Not until late September. 4 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Betsy is milking the cows. Today the hands will be taking them to graze in the South 4. No, the South 9. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. Betsy had Diana, one of the morning servants, to bring some donuts for breakfast. And Andy says, we head back today. And Betsy says, when are you coming back? And Gerald says, Christine, she's like, Brooke probably won't come back until Kyle has another rodeo. And Elizabeth says, Christine, that's enough. And Gerald's like, I don't know. I think a weekend in late September. Since I want to see Grandma one more time or two. Next time I come, I go by charter jet. And Betsy's like, no, JR. I'll send a helicopter for you. So it's 1 p.m. Lunch at the ranch was barbecue chicken, corn on the cob, Caesar salad, and for dessert, leftover donuts. 1:30 p.m. JR walks by the Lazy G Ranch owned by Jack Daly. And JR's like, well, hi, J.R. Hendrick. You've come a long way from just hanging around Swainfield. And JR's like, yeah, I'm working up, JR said. And Jack says, you know your granddad, he would be proud. And J.R.'s like, yes, of course, sir. And he's like, I'll be seeing you soon. So that's this episode. I give it a 4.6, and a 3 Sprite Zeros. J.R.? Well, I have to give this a 3.5 and a 4 Sprite Zeros. Okay then, folks, that's it for today. That's it for the day. The next format is going to go back to traditional format, and then we'll do narrating in a couple weeks. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets a lot more interesting from here.